So this is the file I actually prepared for this. And you can see that Rishi is Surya Savitri, and here is added Rishika. And there are all different verses. There are up to 40 verses in the hymn. Let me check. 46, 47 verses. It's a huge hymn. Yeah. So each section is dedicated to some devata, like first and fifth to Soma, and then to Surya Vivaha, Deva Ganah. They will come one by one, all the gods, Soma and Arka, Soma and Sun, Chandrama, 19. So all different sections are dedicated to different godheads, different events. And this whole hymn is considered to be the hymn of marriage, which is very often recited, as you know, in the marriage ceremonies. Every Brahmin has to know this hymn. This is his income. This hymn is his income. And it's kind of interesting that this is the most popular hymn in the world, I guess, because there's so many marriages in India. And it has to sound then. And it was composed by Savitri. Notice this. This is an amazing news. When I saw first time, I understood many things. What is really Savitri? And somehow I believe it is our Savitri.
Oh.
Yeah? Surya Savitri, the daughter of the sun. Because, you know, the story of Savitri, it starts from the immemorial times. Sri Aurobindo says that it belongs to the Vedic cycle. And if we look into what Markandeya says, who speaks this story? Who tells this story to Yudhishthira in Mahabharata? He tells him that this is the very ancient story. So if it is ancient for Markandeya, you can imagine of what time it belongs to the beginning of time. Because Markandeya himself is from the first Manvantara of this Kalpa, the immortal being. So it starts with very beautiful statement, Satyena uttabhita bhumih, Satyenottabhita bhumih, Suryenottabhita diyao. I will come to my text, which will help you to see also translation and dwell on it. By the truth. Yes, there is no Sri Aurobindo's translation. There will be only mine. And the first translation is by Griffith. So we will have two different translations. It's always easier to navigate. Also, I have also here Yelizarenko for Russians. If the Russians are joining us, so they will have support. So the truth is the base that bears the earth. Literally, the earth, bhumih uttabhita, kind of established or supported, stabhita. Stab is from here, stambha. You have this pillar. Establishment, support, is supported by the truth. By Surya, Suryena, uttabhita dhyauch. The heavens are sustained by Surya. By the law of Aditya stand secure, Ritena Adityach Tishthanti. And Soma holds his place in heaven. Divi Somo Adhishritach. Well, it's Griffith, he tries to make it poetic and beautiful. By the law, Ritena, by the dynamic truth, the Adityas stand secure. Tishthanti Adityaha. And the Soma, Somo adhishritach divi. And Soma holds his place in heaven. Very nice way to translate Shritach. Shritach is the one who found refuge, or who is, yeah, who holds his place. It's a good way to put it. By truth, notice, static, the earth is firmly supported, established. By Surya, the heaven is firmly established. By the dynamic truth, Adityas stand firm. In heaven, Soma has found his home. This verse is already kind of universal value. You know? Interesting division between Satya and Rita here. So Bhumi is established by Satya, by the static truth, because Satya is from root us, from here Sat, yes, the divine being. And the divine being is the foundation for the material manifestation. Bhumi is the fundamental thing which holds the being. Yeah? It's a being in a way. The being is established by the static truth of the divine being. Let us say our being here in material form, in the material universe, is supported or established by the divine being, divine self. Suryena uttabhita dyauh, and heavens are established by Surya, by the sun. So we have two interesting it's a very ancient vision. You will not find it even in the Rig Veda anymore. We have on one side the earth, and on the other side the sun, earth and sun. Yeah, you will not have this anymore. And interestingly, if you read the Ramayana, you will see the same story of Rama comes from the sun, and Sita comes from earth. Yeah? And in heaven, they come together. Again, this marriage, this symbol of marriage, the divine earth and the divine sun, they join together.
So, Vladimir,
Mm.
sorry to interrupt.
No, please interrupt.
So I was just thinking, right here are the four pillars of foundation: truth, Surya, Aditya, and Soma. Like in the tarot, they have the four, you know, the pillars of foundation.
I do not know what you mean in the tarot. You can be more specifics, and then what these four foundations are there. What you refer to? What do you
It
refer to?
just came to my mind that as you
Mm.
were saying this, truth, Surya, the Adityas, and Soma are like four pillars of foundation. And in the tarot, we also, I'll just tell you later, I'll take it out. They are the four, I forget, it's in the minor tarot also.
Oh, you mean these
Minor arcana.
the clubs, the cups, the swords, and the diamonds? Yeah, this you mean?
Yes, just let me take it out.
Why not? Could be. Well, it's a far-fetching projection, but intuitively we can dive into it if we want. So the fundamental truth is static truth, yes? So the truth of being, that Sat, yeah? From which everything comes. Without Sat, there is no consciousness, because consciousness is conscious of the being. If there is no being, there is nothing to be conscious of. Yeah? So the being is a fundamental And that's why Sat is first and Chit is next. So Surya and heaven, well, I would not try to reconcile with all different paradigms, but what is interesting is this ancient paradigm of the earth and the sun. And earth and sun have to come together in a way. Earth is a representative of the being, and the sun is a representative of this luminous consciousness in heaven, yeah, which holds the heaven. Um, and also, if you look at it from the point of view like a planet Earth, you know, holding the physical manifestation, and the sun as the entry to the beyond, from where we come into the solar system as souls, you will see two entries, two kind of circles who will build everything in this world. In time and space, Earth with projection of the divine being, and in time and space, Surya, who projects all the devatas, all the gods, all the powers of Purusha, of consciousness. Consciousness is manifested through the sun, and the being is manifested by earth. Yeah? Being and consciousness. And then there are dynamic powers. And by Rita, the Adityas stand firm. Stand firm, what does it mean? Means they are engaged. They get their personalities for engagement in time and space. They need the support of the dynamic truth. And interestingly, Soma Adhishritah, he is dwelling above in heaven. You know that Soma king was born from the oblation of Shraddha on the fire of the highest heaven, on the fire of Surya, actually. So Shraddha, which is faith, or was put into the fire of Surya, from which Soma king was born. So it is the first oblation, first ritual, the heavenly ritual, from which Soma was born, and that's why he dwells there in heaven. And then Soma travels down to us, yes? From the devatas behind the nakshatras to the moon, and from the moon to us. That's why Soma is always connected with the moon. Okay, let me read this short thing. Satyam upholds the earth firmly, Surya upholds the heaven and makes it firm. Dhyau, our mental being, Adityas, the functions of Surya, his elder brothers. Adityas are elder brothers of Surya. Surya is the youngest. Or his inner forces, we can say, not elder brothers, but inner forces, stand strong in this world by the dynamic truth. And Soma, the divine bliss, transcendental Ananda, takes refuge or makes his dwelling in heaven, the mental being. Soma is also the embodiment of the soul. His body, as it were. This is something difficult to explain, but it's kind of my thoughts on Soma as the embodiment of the soul. Soma represents kind of body of the soul, if you will. If if the soul has the soul and the body, then Soma will be the body, that which feeds the flame within. So the soul is born in this world by the actions of the truth, static and dynamic. We can say that by the divine existence, Sat, the matter is made firm. By the supramental self, the mind is supported. It's Surya, supramental self. By the dynamic truth, the Adityas are activated here, filling the gap between heaven and earth. And thus the divine soul can find its place here in the mental being with the help of Soma. Or it is Soma. I know it is much too much, I guess. But there is some intuitive thought here, which we want to have a glimpse of. The words are only the words. But if you see this distribution that they start with Sat, and then Chit, then dynamic manifestation of Sat Chit through Adityas, and finally the soul is born. You see the hierarchy of presentation. And in that sense, those four pillars, or four major in the Tarot, also could be kind of mapped onto it, the same logic at least. And then we come to number 2. Somena dityach balinach, Somena prithivi mahi, Atho nakshatranam esham upasthe Soma ahitach. By Soma, these Adityas are powerful, mighty, balinach. Somena adityaha balinah. And the earth is great, Prithivi mahi, Somena, by Soma. The embodiment of the divine soul is seated in the lap of these constellations. Nakshatranam esham upasthya Soma ahita. So the divine Ananda increases the power of Adityas and makes our matter grow. He is situated within and rules the nakshatras. We can look at Soma as the divine Ananda, which is the cause of all creation. Yes? Everything exists because of the divine Ananda. Moves, interacts, the whole world comes into the visible form because of this bliss. If there would be no bliss, nothing would move anywhere. You remember we discussed this of the light and delight, as Mother says about love. If there would be no this partaking of bliss of existence, then everything would fall apart. Anandadhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante. Yes, all these beings are born from the bliss. Anandena jatani jivanti. By the bliss they all live. Anandam abhisam vishanti. So they go into bliss after death. So all of this lives, comes from bliss, lives by bliss, and goes into bliss. So that's why Soma is so emphasized here. By Soma, the Adityas are strong. By Soma, the Prithvi, the earth, is vast. By Soma, it is Soma who is established in Upasthe, in the secret place of these nakshatras. And you know the myth of Soma and nakshatras. There are 27 nakshatras. And Soma is the Chandrama, who is moving from constellation to constellation, and these are his wives' constellations. Yes, he marries them one by one. Basically, he brings into the activates the power of the devatas standing behind nakshatras. The Soma, it's like a magnifying glass which brings the influence or the time of a particular contributor to this sacrifice from the whole spectrum of the universe. So these nakshatras are representing the devata, particular devata, who is activated in the moment when Soma joins the nakshatra. So he is like magnifying glass, magnifying the influence of those devatas on earth, upon us. By Soma are the Adityas strong, by Soma mighty is the earth. Thus Soma, in the midst of all these constellations, has his place. Soma manyate papivan yat sampishanti oshadhim somam yam brahmano somam yam brahmano vidu natasyashnati kaschana. It's not brahmanas, it's brahmanas. It can be brahmanas. Brahmanas are those who belong to this varna, but brahmanas are those priests or creators. So somam manyate papivan, the one who drinks the soma, drank the soma, he believes I drank the soma. When yat sampishanti oshadhim, when they crush the soma plant. You know, the soma plant was crushed, then it was purified, then it was the juice was extracted, and then it was, after distillation, was purified again and purified again. It's something like we produce alcohol. Yeah? We purify it several times, and then alcohol becomes stronger and stronger. So this was the ritual in the past. There was a soma plant. There are many disputes about this plant. And some people say this was the plant, others say that was the drug, a plant which kind of hallucination, creates hallucination. But nobody knows for sure what plant it was. So here in this verse, it is totally denying the idea. Soma manyate papivan yat, when they crush the soma plant, he thinks he drank the soma. Some think that they have drunk soma when they crush the plant. The soma that the Brahmins know, nobody partakes of that. So soma is not really a juice of the plant and not hallucinate genius plant. In the Western tradition, we have the grapes, yeah, for wine, the divine wine. Sri Aurobindo uses Soma, translates in Savitri as the divine wine. Yeah.
Vladimir, that puppy one, that's a perfect
Yes,
participle.
right. Unusual way of saying, yes. Like the one who has drunk considers or thinks Soma, literally. Soma thinks the one who drank. When they crush, or should they? That's how it is. So it's kind of different these subjects here. But in the flow, when we know the language, it's quite easy to reconcile. Somam yam brahmano viduch, and the creators who know the soma as such, whom they know, natasya, of him, nobody partakes here, nakaschana. Interesting that kaschana has two accents. Chana is this particle which is accented, which is not the case in Sanskrit in the classical.
Vladimir,
Mm.
I just had a thought. When he says the Soma, what the Brahmins know, nobody partakes of that. Is he referring to the inner nectar? You know, there are occult practices in Kundalini Yoga where they say that the nectar from the Sahasradala, it descends into the body, and then you gain immortality and youth, and you're never hungry. And Could it be that he's referring to that practice which very few people knew and even partook of?
Well, it's difficult to say, yes, but truly speaking, it's a mysterious, fundamental thing, yeah? Divine
Yes,
delight,
yes.
ambrosia, amrita, which in many forms is manifested in that form most probably also, yes. But it is something so fundamental that he is the husband of Surya. Just think about it. The husband of the daughter of the sun, of Savitri, of Surya. The, the whole Panchagni Vidya, we looked into it already, the traveling of the Soma from the plant world. If man eats it, then the seed comes, it is Soma, and the seed cast into the fire of the woman, and then again, this is constant, how to say, offering of Soma into the fire. Yeah, Agni Shoma. So these two build the whole foundation of manifestation. Agni and Soma. And here Soma and Surya. Yeah? Again, two fiery, consuming power of consciousness, and the being in the form of delight, ambrosia, which it is being consumed. I think it is much deeper in the intuition that we can reach, but we have to kind of dwell on it and try to figure out why these two and what they really represent. If you have some thoughts, please share. This is very nice what you shared, Jayashree. Other thoughts of Soma. Soma is everywhere. Yes? It is the seed, it is the embryo in the womb of the woman, it is the child who is born and partakes of food, and it is that the last cremation of the person when he leaves the body. It is Soma cremated, put into the fire. Soma travels to Soma, to the Chandrama, where the Godheads partake of that Soma. Yeah? Again, the sacrifice in heaven. And then Soma, in the form of that um, being, falls back with the rain of heaven to earth, um, uh, conceiving the plants, the greenery grows. Why greenery grows, nobody knows. And that is Soma. Again, Soma. Yeah? On the fire of earth, Soma is sacrificed. And greenery, food is produced. And then we take food and cast it onto the fire of our stomach. And there is fire growing there within the stomach, hunger. And then we grow into the being, and the seed comes as a soma, which we cast into the fire, and so on. This kind of Panchagni Vidya, knowledge of the Kshatriyas. This is the rotation of soma. So this is the power which conceives everything, conceives the heaven, conceives the earth. It feeds the heaven, it feeds the earth. It is constantly on the move, and on the move because the fire is there. Agni. Agni makes it move and change and go forward and constantly being consumed. And what will be said in the next actually will support the idea that the moment it is, oh no, not in the next, the moment you drink the soma, it swells again and grows again. You cannot exhaust soma. Soma is constantly growing here. You consume it and it grows more. You consume it and it grows more. So you put it into the fire and it becomes stronger. Our mind is totally bewildered here. Where is this 1, 2, 3? There's no 1, 2, 3 anymore. No cause and effect. These are two, cause and effect.
Vladimir,
Hmm.
I have a question. How does this Soma relate to, or is it similar in some ways to prana?
Prana is an energy. It's more like a fire, rather. It is something which consumes, I guess. Soma is more like quintessential representative of the being in the form of delight. I know this is a very weird way to say. Soma has something to do with the being. That's why Soma is the husband, not the wife. In many traditions, we would think it otherwise. We would think that Moon is the wife and Surya is the husband. And it is natural for us to think like this. But here it's just the other way around. Soma is the husband, the seed, the procreation, the bliss of manifestation, the bliss of knowing oneself in time and space. It is that what we all seek, what we all gather here. We live and move because of Soma. We would not make a move if Soma would not be a purpose. We even things, ordinary things, as Sri Aurobindo says, we are attracted to them because there is a delight behind them, the divine delight. Normal things like I want to have a camera, yeah, but there is a Soma behind the camera. There is everywhere Soma behind, the enjoyment of existence. And it attracts us.
Can we also say that Soma is therefore absorbed by the prana? In that sense, what he's asking, Robin is asking. Soma is absorbed by the prana in order to be experienced in the embodiment.
Right. There is something here strange said, is Vayu Somasya Rakshita. The Vayu, that pranic energy, is the protector of Soma. How is a protector of Soma? So you see, I cannot answer so easily because it's not a kind of one-to-one thing, where our mind can be satisfied. Most probably it will never be satisfied with this vision and concept of Soma because, and by the way, it is understood also that Soma was born from the mind, from the heart. Tasya hridayam nirabhidita hridayan mano manasas chandrama. So his heart broke forth from the heart, mind, and from the mind, Soma came. So this mind and the word represents the flame, and the mind represents the Soma or Chandrama, Surya, again these two, Agni Shoma. So Soma is feeding the consciousness growing here. Consciousness is of the divine existence growing in us by Soma. Soma is feeding that growth. That's why all the gods are drawn to Soma. All our faculties of consciousness want enjoyment, true enjoyment. That's why we partake of food, because behind the food there is this ambrosia, amrita, of the divine enjoyment. We use these words so differently in our languages that I can see the blockages. Because they are used in the setting, which is very different. But if you look at the world with a fresh look, you will see this meaning. Kind of see it, not totally. There will be a glimpse. And everything is driven by this force. in
So
search
how
of.
is all this? How is all this related to marriage?
Yes, exactly, directly related. This is what marriage is looking for this
Oh.
delight, abundance of delight, infinite delight of existence, and
Why is
continuation.
it difficult to find it, especially now? I mean, you see, so many marriages breaking up.
Something
It's
else.
difficult to find. Yeah? Is it
Well,
because,
yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead. I know that it is difficult to find it, but it's rather easier to be alone and partake of someone in your own corner, having your own dinner. But
Deepti was asking something. I'll stop. Deepti.
No, Jayashree, what you said just made me think again. Like the word communion kind of gives an insight, no? Like the delight, the soma, food for the soul. Uh, Somewhere it's leading to that expansion, and there are no words for that. And communion comes closest to that. Probably in not just the marriage of like what we talk about in the earth, but at all levels. I remember reading somewhere in Siddha
Right.
medicine, they used to talk about this when the moon is there, like the moon cycle influences the movement of the soma within the body. And they also studied so much that like sometimes when we hit unconsciously a toe or a foot or something somewhere, and if the soma is in that part of the body, then it actually causes blockages. I never understood that, like, but now
Oh,
these thoughts are coming.
yes, beautiful. Thank you. That is really very well explained. Thank you.
right. Some other thoughts where I had such a nice thought and it's gone. So sorry. Okay, we continue with this, with the verse here, and see what it will suggest more to us. Achad vidhanaich gupitach, barhataich soma rakshitach, gravnam it shrinvantisht hasina te ashnati parthivach. It is hidden by those who are assigned to hide it. That's why we can't really directly deal with it. Yeah? And protected by Brihati hymns or by the mighty ones. It can be translated both ways. Standing and listening to the crushing stones, crushing of the plant, no earthly being can partake of you or song. So plants are only a symbolic ritual of extracting soma from things and us and offering that quintessential delight, purified, distilled, to the higher powers in us, who are the devatas, our faculties of consciousness, and they partake of that quintessential delight and grow in power. This is the Soma Yaga, meaning of the Soma Yagas. So it continues with the same idea of that nobody partakes of it, even if you listen to the crushing stones and participate in this bodily exercise. Yes, one thing I wanted, that's what thought came back. Mother explains why this creation came into being. You remember this most probably. Yeah? He wanted to have an additional delight. So I think this is the explanation of Soma. This is the additional delight. Additional ananda, she says even. Because he, the Supreme, has the ananda of self-identity. But he wanted to have ananda of unity. And this ananda of unity is additional delight to what he already has. He has a full ananda of self-identity. But this additional one is produced by manifestation, by unity. And that's why most probably it is very difficult, what Jayashri said, why the marriages are not so easy, because of egos, because of we are not really distilling delight for each other, for each other's highest capacities. Yeah, we are not offering it to the highest in us. We are trying to partake with our egos and feed our egos. And that is, and Rakshasas and Asuras are also drawn, Paishachas, to this Soma. They all want this ambrosia. Yeah? So in us, there are many creatures, and we feed them with Soma instead of feeding the higher faculties in us. So if we change that and start crushing, kind of distilling the delight of existence and offer it to higher powers, it would be the Soma sacrifice. But can you imagine that we would, you know this, in India, they always offer food before eating to the divine. It became a ritual. But if you really feel that you offer it, the delight, to the higher powers in you, or to the presence you want to grow in you, you will feel immediately the presence grow. The same with any activity. I was thinking about camera, making, pictures, for example, or anything. There is a delight, but we gobble that delight with our ego. We enjoy it. Instead, we should offer it to higher powers. It would be like we will be like representatives of the divine here, rather than the divine by itself, We would feel the presence growing in us. We would know that we are intermediaries or adharas for the divine to fill us in with its presence. But we don't go that route. Yeah, we kind of used to be half animal rather, and feed the animal in us. And then we are very dissatisfied with this, and no wonder why we are dissatisfied, because feeding the animal is leading nowhere. It's just blocking your happiness. And at the end, you'll be so disappointed at the end, seeing that all your life went for feeding the animal. Nothing was achieved really. It was just time was wasted, as it were. And we could offer this delight of existence to the divine. What we offer to the divine, not the delight of existence, but our, things, work, facilities. We say, take our activities. We should do our activities ourselves, distill the delight and offer it to the divine, and not ask the divine to do the activities for us. And then when Soma comes, we gobble it. So it has to be other way around. We should feel who we are working for. Working means sacrifice. We are sacrificing our life for the divine here. We are here for this purpose. And that only that brings the satisfaction. And then families, friends, everything becomes very joyful. All right. You see, we went far from the hymn of the marriage of the light and being and delight, light and delight. This is the proper word. So delight is Soma and light is Surya, and they come together and they generate the worlds. And we will see all the devatas will come into picture. They will all be activated here. Yatvadeva prapibanti tata a piyaya se punach vayu sumasya rakshita samanam masa akritih. When they begin to drink thee, then, O God, thou swellest out again. Vayu is Soma's guardian god. The moon is that which shapes the years. Masa is he used. It's interesting. Masa is months, actually, in a and moon, because moon is counting the months. Yes, so measuring. Maybe Masa is from measuring, from Marut. Shaping, Samanam, of the years shaping, Akritih. When they drink you, O God, then you swell grow again. Vayu is the protector of Soma, moon is the shaper of the years. Yeah. Okay, we can stop here, I think. If you have any questions, we are beating
Vladimir,
around the bush. Yeah.
Vladimir, I had a thought around verses 3 and 4.
Uh-huh.
I am trying to read it very literally in the sense that I think what the Rishi is saying is that there is Soma hidden in these verses, but by merely crunching it with your mind and other stones and all, you won't be able to get hold of it. So I kind of thought about it that way. You may try with your mind and all kinds of crushing you can do, but it's the gods who will kind of be able to extract the Soma from these verses. That was my sense of understanding.
Right. God has higher powers. Yes, correct. Higher powers of our universal consciousness, which we may embody if we offer Soma to them, yes. The whole thing that these devatas come to us is that we want to share with them the delight of existence. Otherwise, why should they come? Yeah? If we don't want to share, if we want to enjoy ourselves here. So they won't come if we enjoy ourselves here only. But if the enjoyment is offered to them, to our higher faculties, our powers of consciousness, more luminous, more universal, they will come, they will descend, and they will change our consciousness and perception. This is typically Vedic, yeah? You will not find it in post-Vedic literature. It is something else in post-Vedic. You have to have mukti, you have to deny the nature, you have to drop every trouble and focus only on the beyond. There is no Soma offering. It
And
dries up.
also the idea that the Soma is captured somehow in the verses and the chandas and the words of the verses. Is that
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Could be, yeah. Brihati is the meter 8812 8. I do not know why they associate him with Soma, this meter. Don't know. But that could be also ritualistic explanation. But truly, yes, it is Soma is in the words, definitely the delight. The additional ananda is there. I think this is the perfect explanation of Soma, because it is actually a sensual delight, which our senses partake of. And our senses are representatives of the universal Purusha. So when we feed them, we may feed the universal Purusha's senses or faculties. This is an embodied state of delight. That seed which continues progeny or forward. It's very interesting how they see it. First, it is the seed which is cast into the woman, then woman brings the child to birth. He becomes a Soma, or he becomes the fire, and her milk by which she feeds him is Soma. So it changes. Soma moves from form to form. It's not one particular lineage, only male. It is male, female, 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 male, doesn't matter, because it is that delight which generates all these forms. Additional Ananda. And he is the husband. Yes, Deepti.
Is there a connection between divine music, love, Soma?
Of course. How else it should be? There is nothing but Soma. And that is the delight in music, the delight of music, the delight of which is staying behind love, why people seek love. Love is more something very powerful. It is like self-giving, yes? Giving oneself with adoration, or with joy, yeah? With bliss. It is love. It's very rare to experience this feeling on Earth. We have glimpses of it, of course, mainly from literature. But still, there's some idea about it. This is a very powerful force of the divine to open up, to open us up. Yeah.
Vayuputra Hanuman, what he felt for Sri Ram must have been just that, like, because he had all the principles, like he could become small, he could become big.
And continue.
I mean, I'm just extrapolating from it.
He
could,
had
yeah.
devotion to Rama.
Mm.
Ram, amazingly, and you see, the first verse is a very interesting verse. Yes, again, Surya Satyena Uttabhita Bhumi, Suryena Uttabhita Dhyao. This is Sita and Ram, in a way. Rama dwells in the sun. It is a supramental power. It is the Lord of the sun. And Sita is the Bhumi. You know how Sita was born, you remember, yes? The Bhumi was opened up because Janaka was plowing it. And when he was plowing, interesting, they again the idea of crushing the earth, making the... So he was plowing it, and then he looked behind and he saw the small girl sitting on the row. And he took her and made her his own daughter. But she was not his daughter. She was the daughter of the earth, Prithvi. And at the end, Prithvi comes to take her back. Prithvi opened up, and the mother earth came up and took away Sita. And Rama was very sad. But it is said that after he left his body, they joined in heaven as eternal sun and earth. These are the ways of talking about things which are far beyond of any talking, especially embodied state. We're using symbols here. These are all symbols about the reality which cannot be described otherwise. it tunes our inner consciousness to that reality. And that's the purpose of it. Not to have it scientifically proven, totally, kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. But it will come to the scientific also, I think so. Only science is not yet ready for this. Doesn't have that inner science yet. We are close to it in this.
There must be a bridge for the earth and sun to meet. And
Yeah, it is fire rising. Fire is a quintessential, Agni is a quintessential representative of earth, Prithvi. He is rising from below the earth. I was thinking about our earth and sun. Notice that there are two suns, according to the Rig Veda. One is above, uninvolved, that is most probably Surya, and the other is below, Vivasvat, involved, which asuras hid in the dark places. And that Surya is also the core of our earth. Our earth is warm. There is a sun within the earth. We receive warmth not only from above, but also from below. The core of earth is warm, living. Yeah, there is a sun within, which is now coming to the physical science. But interestingly, there are two cores, and we are dwelling on the surface of Earth. Between them, there is a relation between the sun there above and the sun within. Absolutely, there is a relation. And we are the product of those two. This is called the secret of the Veda, that there is an inner involved sun. When we go down into the darkness, into the complete darkness, we come to the infinite rock. In the Veda, it is known as Adri. And Sri Aurobindo spoke about this, about his yoga, that he was drilling, digging into that infinite rock of inconscient, in the darkness and absence of consciousness. And until he broke through to the supreme light. This is the secret of the Veda, that there is a supreme light below our darkness, which we can't comprehend, yeah. But it is the truth of our existence. And physically, even it's visible. The sun and earth, the living planet.
I was thinking, Vladimir, about, first of all, that physical analogy that I was thinking about the gravity that the beings are established on the earth because the earth holds us here. It holds all of creation. And then the sun has a greater gravity, which holds the earth. And then the earth has a gravity that also holds the moon. And the moon has a gravity which affects us on earth. It pulls us. There's things where our tides are moved and women's bodies are affected by the cycles of the moon. So all of this gravity is what is in physical world, what they're talking about in spiritual world.
Yeah, this gravitational wave is a very puzzling thing, you know. We can't measure. There was one scientist who, in Russia, when I studied in the university, who was a specialist in gravitational waves, and because it's a wave kind of. So there are two waves, it seems. One is vertical, another is horizontal. And one of them is very slow, like, I don't know, like a few 100 meters a second. And the other is very fast, supremely fast. He in his research, he said that it is 10,000 times faster than the speed of light. And if you calculate that speed, you will see a very interesting thing. You will see that the one orbit of the Earth around the sun multiplied on the speed of that wave will show us all visible universe. So the rotation of the whole universe will be in the time of the one rotation of the Earth if you multiply. So there's some kind of holding everything together. What is that? Yeah? All these universes are held together. There's a secret power, that gravitational wave, or nobody knows what it is, why these black holes are there. Also on gravity they work. Everything works by gravity. What is that? It's a puzzle. Nobody can answer. Why they are held together in space, in this infinite space. So you're right. This, we can have an analogy with physics if we want to. There is also another very interesting thing, is the absolute zero temperature, which is also a magnificent thing. And there is another law which is puzzling, is the law of preservation of energy. They don't fit anywhere, none of these. Yeah. Absolute zero, what is this? In absolute zero, the hydrogen will freeze and the universe collapse. So it is impossible so to have that below that temperature. And it is only minus 273 Celsius. It's very close to us. It's just here. You can go up infinite numbers. You can go trillions of grades up, but not down. What is this? What is this bubble in which we live? It's a temperature, tapas, in which we live. Yeah? And that temperature is redistributed in higher degrees, lower degrees. So we found our range of temperature in which we may live and function. It's kind of amazing, mind-boggling. And preservation of energy even more so. How come? My energy does not disappear. It cannot be exhausted. It can only change its form. Travel. Who has arranged all this? Right. Okay. Oh, yes, we are over time. Let's stop here today, and maybe it's a longish hymn. Maybe we will take only part of it, not everything. Yeah. And then come back to our agony. Because I don't want to forget our hymns to the mystic fire. It may be that we will forget and we will go to other devatas, and Bhushan and Indra, Vishnu, they all mentioned here, so we will have to look into their qualities. All right, I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.